Hello, fight fans. Seattle Mike, MMA with Friends. Everybody, please hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed and don't forget to ring the bell to be notified whenever I drop a new video or go live with much violence, my friends. UFC, boxing, all that. We go live here. We go hard. Let's talk today, though, about the guy I think is the most underrated heavyweight boxer of all time. This is a gentleman that won the gold medal for his country. He was two-time heavyweight champion. He was only finished twice in his career, but fought pretty much most of the greats of his time. I could easily be talking about Muhammad Ali. And that's not where the parallels end with these two fighters. The guy I am talking about is a guy who was really never embraced by a country. He was called at times a man without a country. A Canadian Englishman that was really not embraced by either of those countries, fought a lot of his fights in the United States and was never fully embraced during his boxing times here either. Now spends a lot of his time playing chess and training a lot of other boxers. He had victories in his career over the likes of Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Razor Ruddock, Tommy Morrison, David Tua, Henry Akinwanda, Hasim Rahman, Oliver McCall, Frank Bruno. Of course, I am talking about none other than Lennox Lewis, who of course ended his career and a victory over Vitaly Klitschko at 37 years old, 41-2 with 32 knockouts. This is a guy who really knew how to use his speed. He knew how to use his jab. He had just 2 losses in his career. He avenged both of them. One to Oliver McCall and the other one to Hasim Rahman. Let's go with the latter one, the Hasim Rahman one. Of course, a lot of people didn't really want to give Rahman the credit for that because, you know, Lennox Lewis, he was filming Ocean's 11 at the time. He seemed distracted to a lot of people, and it didn't seem like his mind was in boxing. He came back immediately, knocking Hasim Rahman out in the 4th round. So maybe they were all right. He did the same thing to Oliver McCall. He dominated Evander Holyfield twice, and Evander Holyfield that was in his prime at the time. The first fight was called a draw. Nobody really thinks that that fight was a draw. Lennox Lewis landed over 100 more punches. And was just phenomenally destroyed Evander Holyfield. And the only great you would say that he did not fight from his time was Riddick Bowe, at least as a professional. Now he famously defeated Riddick Bowe in the gold medal round of the 1988 Olympics. Riddick Bowe did not want to fight Lennox Lewis so bad. When the WBC called Lennox Lewis his mandatory, Riddick Bowe famously threw his belt in the garbage in front of media and everything. It was on the front of, I believe it was Ring Magazine at the time. This guy, in my mind, is a tremendously underrated fighter. And let's talk about, you know, beating some of the other guys at that time. Lionel the Train Butler. This guy, at the time when Lennox fought him, I mean, he was on a destruction path. David Tua, he was knocking everybody out. Frank Bruno, that guy was an animal. And Razor Ruddock, at the time, the only 3 losses that Razor Ruddock had after that fight were twice to Mike Tyson and once to Lennox Lewis. Tyrell Biggs, you can go down the list. This guy, I mean, he defended his belt against the top guys, the number 1 guys. These are guys that, you know, you can put a face and a name to. Tony Tucker, former world champion. He didn't fight any bums. In the latter half of his career, all name mentionable guys. And I will compare him to another guy, Muhammad Ali, of course. I think Muhammad Ali fought in the toughest moment, toughest heavyweight era of all time with Joe Frazier and George Foreman. Of course, many other greats right there. I think Lennox Lewis fought in the second toughest time with Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Tommy Morrison, Frank Bruno, and others. So not only is Lennox Lewis the most underrated heavyweight boxer, in my opinion, on my top 10 list of heavyweights, I have Lennox Lewis as number 2. Only second to Muhammad Ali. Put him in there against any other fighter 3 times, and I think Lennox wins at least 2 of those fights. From any era, one of the greatest of all time. Lennox Lewis. Let me know what you guys think, though. Who's on your greatest heavyweights of all time? Who's on your underrated list? Think of some underrated fighters. And watch out for a new video that I have coming up. And this is about possibly the hardest hitting heavyweight in the history of the division. And most of you have probably never heard of him. Guys, I'm Seattle Mike of MMA with Friends, and as always, I love you. I respect you, and I'll see your fine asses later.